Well, college sports is about to go where it's never gone before, where an athlete can be paid for the use of their name, image, or likeness. It's a seismic change that some say is long overdue, while others believe it will ruin the essence of the college game. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Thanks, Gary. Indeed, the combination of the Supreme Court's recent unanimous rebuke of the ruling National Collegiate Athletic Association in combination with individual states passing patchwork legislation regarding athlete compensation portend an environment like never before. And joining us today to offer insight is Kelleigh Fagan, a partner of CCHA Collegiate Sports Law, the first female-led sports law firm in the country, and herself a former student-athlete golfer at the University of Indianapolis. Kelleigh, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, and before we get into the entire NIL thing, just give me a brief background. The CCHA, I know you've worked with the NCAA in the past, and some of your sports law endeavor, especially as it pertains to college sports.
Yeah, we work with NCAA institutions and coaches that are involved in NCAA sports and really anything that touches NCAA compliance. And we've got a really diverse team and skill set, and enjoy getting to work in this space.
Well, and the work is going to become, I can only imagine what the work will become. The NCAA Leadership Council this week did pass and approve name, image, likeness, meaning that athletes can now use their name, image, or likeness to generate income for themselves. Again, as we said in the opening, some people say this is long overdue. Other people say it's going to be the wild, wild west. What's your take?
You know, I think we'll probably see a lot of activity at first, and then things will normalize a little bit, and people will get used to seeing student athletes that are endorsing products on social media or local businesses. And I think it's going to be a change and an opportunity to try to work through some of the kinks, but I think overall it'll be a good thing for college sports.
You know, I think people are really afraid about, the NCAA, it's a very difficult task, especially over 3 divisions and 1,000 schools. How do you maintain a level playing field, and how do you enforce this new landscape?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge that the NCAA has right now, and I think they're going to continue to pursue federal legislation to avoid that patchwork approach, as you mentioned, and hopefully eventually have a uniform law. But in the meantime, they've essentially said, if you have a state law, then you need to abide by that state law, and states that don't have a state law, then they've given some guardrails and parameters for compliance, but otherwise institutions in those states are enacting their own policies and approach to NIL.
Yeah, and Indiana, of course, Indianapolis, the home of the NCAA, but is one of those states that does not have legislation for NIL. Do you anticipate that will occur perhaps in the next legislative session?
I don't know. Indiana is definitely uniquely positioned with the amateur sports being so popular and present here. And I haven't heard of a lot of activity from a legislative standpoint that's going to happen. And you've seen, some schools in Indiana that have really stepped out on NIL and are being very active, and others that are a little bit more cautious. In their approach to it.
Yeah, and Kelleigh, you mentioned Indiana University, for one thing, immediately came out and said this is an issue that they've been working toward for 2 years, and it seems to be the proactive approach would certainly be prudent.
Yep, they're definitely been leading the charge on that front, and I'm sure that recruits in that environment are happy to see that, and student athletes, so that they know that they're going to have the support from the institution when they get there to navigate this, because student athletes are going to be dealing with things that they have never had to deal with before when it comes to running a business and signing contracts and managing finances.
Kelleigh, we got about a minute left. How does this affect non-major schools? How does it affect Title IX? How does it affect Division II and Division III athletes?
Yeah, the NIL policy from the NCAA is open for any division. So I think that while the bigger deals will probably be for those elite prospects at the highest level, I think you're going to see a lot of women that benefit from this because they're very savvy on social media. And you're going to see D2 and D3 that can benefit from it as well. Title IX is going to be something that every institution has to confront as they determine how to equitably provide support to men and women.
Well, Kelleigh, again, this is going to be a fascinating, as all of this rolls out and we see it take effect, it's going to be a fascinating time in intercollegiate athletics. Thank you so much for being on the program. Like I said, we know that you will be very, very busy in the forthcoming time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.